Welcome, my dear friends, in this final video of Master of Education dissertation chapters. I want to share some of the possible questions for the reference of the individual researcher, whether he is clear in his research or not. And I particularly mention this is mere a possible question, not the exact question. So take this as a reference. Okay. Now we will discuss the questions in a one by one chapters. So in chapter 1, I prepared a basic 8 questions related to the research chapter introduction. First question is nothing but it represents the topic. If a researcher need to explain the topic properly, then problem statement is a second question. And third one is aim. As a researcher, we try to explain our aim and objective of our research in a proper way. So for that, I prepare question number 3. And fourth one is what kind of tools used for data collection. So I already discussed different tools are available. In that, what can be used for our data collection. So then a scope. How to decide a scope? This is fifth question. It represents what are all the possibilities of our research. Then significance. So how far our study is related to the field of education is question number 6. And what kind of methodologies we adopt to conduct the research is the 7th question. And finally, limitations of our studies. So these are all some of the basic questions related to chapter 1. As a researcher, you should very clear in these questions. Then only you will get a proper idea about your title. Next, I have to move on to a review of related studies. Here itself I prepared 8 questions that the purpose of literature review collection is the first question. We try to find the answer why we need to collect review. Then where we have to collect, and then what kind of informations to be included in our review. Then what kind of significant findings we find from both national and international studies. And the question number 6 is very important. What is the main gap? So the research gap is a very important factor for a researcher to proceed their research. So with the help of literature, we have to find the gap between the previous research and how it relates to our research. So that is very important. And then is there any contribution from our side to the review? And finally, we have to concise with reviews. How we have to concise with reviews? We collected 20 reviews, 30 reviews, 40 reviews, even 100 reviews. How we have to come to a conclusion from all those reviews? So if a researcher try to find the answer for these questions, then he may get a good exposure about chapter number 2. And in chapter number 3, again I prepare 8 questions related to purpose of methodology. Here I think that basically a researcher want to know why he is to conduct research. So in that way I frame certain questions. That first one is purpose of methodology, then research design. So what kind of research design used to be followed by the researcher, and then participant selection. And another important question is 4 is variable, because the variables are make a great change in our research. So I frame a question number 4, the variable of the study. Then next, data collection tool, how we have to describe it, what are all the things to be present in the tool, and what data we expect from the participants. And then as usual, reliability and validity. So if we look at the methodology chapter, we may not omit reliability and validity, tools, methodology, then research design. These are all some of the important questions, and the administration of the tool. These are also another important question. And finally, statistical techniques and its implications. So this is another important area. What do you mean by statistical techniques? So I prepared a very basic simple question only, but in some cases it may be changed according to the level of the research and the level of system of the education. So in the chapter number 4, analysis and interpretation, the level of significance may take a very important role, because we find a result with the help of some softwares. So whether our level of significance may accept or reject is an important factor. So, and then difference between a descriptive and differential analysis. So this is another important question. And summarize the data in descriptive, and as well as how we have to compare the data in differential. I already told you that compare the groups, either male, female, UG, PG, likewise. So in that way we'll try to find the questions, and then interesting pattern, if any, we will make it, and what we take away from the data analysis. This is I had as a little higher order question, that is what actually we learned from the data. Then the last one is it is related to our research objectives or not. Even if you find some results from the analysis, if it will not relevant to our subject or our objective, then the total research is waste. So in that way we try to analyze, we try to relate our research objectives and our data. Then last one is, in this chapter we have to mention the purpose, why we need to do all these things. And very important thing is, key findings are very important, that I mentioned in question number 2. Can you share a key findings from your studies? Because in sometimes if your friend or if your teacher or whoever it may be, if they ask means they won't ask the full detail of your whole research. In that case they need to ask the key findings. So you have to give the key things to that. Then recommendations as usual, then suggestion for further research, and conclude your entire dissertation. In some cases some basic researchers or some new researchers, they can ask a general question like you briefly explain about your research. So in that way you have to give some ideas. Then finally we have to provide important findings and contribution to the education, how a researcher can contribute to the education. So with this I conclude my whole MEd dissertation chapter wise brief discussion, and I think all my videos will support in somewhat for your learning and With this I conclude, and also I request everyone to take these videos as a reference and you try to learn so many advanced concepts from various sources. Nowadays lot of facilities are available. We try to collect and we try to learn more. That's what I mentioned, கற்றது கை மண்ணளவு. So keep this in your mind, and thank you for watching my videos. Again we will meet with another video. Thank you.